So one other thing that we know about the sensory system is that it has two distinct jobs. Okay? We've seen what some of its power can be in that first year of life and how fundamental it is to education. But just to get to the jobs of the sensory system, the number one job is to protect you. Okay? So your natural defense mechanism is wired into, like I was talking about earlier, your light touch system, for example. But it's also wired into your movement system. If you're falling, you put out your protectors to save yourself, to protect yourself. Okay? But part of the system is in the limbic structures, and it's called the amygdala. Okay? And the amygdala is where your natural defense mechanism comes from, and or is reactive. So there are a lot of systems. We used to think this system also, just like the whole brain, we used to think way back when I was studying at BU, we used to think there was a very neat hierarchical system. Now all that is blown away. It's very global, and it's influenced by hormones, and the whole biological, neurobiological studies are where it's at in terms of how these different bioamines can influence our behavior and how reactive we're going to be. So the trend in looking at protection, self-protection, and defense mechanisms is also to be looking at the immune system and the biological aspect of hormonal input, the endocrine system particularly. So that's kind of the new place where a lot of these studies are going in terms of reactivity. And one area that I'm particularly interested in is trauma in this system and its impact on learning and behavior. And when I say trauma, I mean that very globally, from negative experiences like bullying or school failure all the way to more physical abuse or emotional abuse. So this whole protective system is impacted by many systems, but today I'm really going to just focus on the amygdala to keep it more simple. But the tools that we're going to talk about influence the system as well. Okay? So, and then the discriminative system. This system, every sensory mode I showed you, all 7 of them, have their own separate discrimination track, so to speak, neurologically. But that means that the way we treat these, and this is important for therapists in the room particularly, because this is a global system, the protective system, we're going to treat that globally. We can use those calming inputs, deep touch pressure and heavy work, to calm and organize that, or the vestibular system, and it'll take care of all those senses. We don't have to be specific. So if we have, tags that bother us or smells that bother us, we can use any of those sensory inputs to calm that system because it's so global. Okay? Not true for the discrimination system. So if we have poor tactile discrimination, I have no idea how to get my sleeve or my arm in my sleeve. I have no body scheme for that. I do, but if I didn't, wouldn't be here dressed today. But if I had poor discrimination of where that limb was, I would need to specifically treat that tactile system by brushing it or massaging it or giving it a lot of different types of tactile input to make that limb more aware right before I was going to get dressed, almost like a modality. Okay? Same would be true for the vestibular system or other systems. We have to give that specific input to help that system discriminate. And that's really about understanding different qualities of sensation. That's really what that word means. So if I reached in my pocket and I was trying to get out my bus token and I had a bunch of change in my pocket, I'd have to discriminate, from the rock to the different coins. Tokens have specific ridges on them that feel different than quarters. So I'd have to go to fine discrimination without looking, to just use my touch receptors to feel that. That would be discrimination. Okay, and so each system has its own system track, and we would have to treat that separately. So that's important to know. So what does this look like? Well,